Let's rock.
We're live.
We're live.
First time ever for a third half podcast live stream. Welcome all to the chat. I can see, I think we've got 14, 15 watching at the moment. Hopefully we'll grow. I'm Palmer, joining my co-host, as everybody knows, Andrew Laird. And we're also joined today with Jordy and Caleb, down below or to the side or wherever they might be on my screen. Today we're kind of going to go into a bit more of a deep dive in terms of marketing, what we've got planned, a bit of a recap over kind of the past and what's gone on. There's been lots and lots of questions in Discords and Twitters and everywhere kind of saying what's going on, where's the marketing, when the marketing. So I think kind of today's a perfect opportunity in the international break, as Jordy's repping the England shirt, to kind of, the tools are down. It's a quiet period. We might as well have a bit of a dive into what's going on. So Jordy, I'm going to throw it to you first off. If you just kind of want to introduce yourself, give us a bit of a rundown in your kind of role within SDF and go from there.
Yeah. Pleasure to be back on. For those that missed the last one, I am Jordy, and my specific role at the moment is, of course, supporting Caleb in general terms of marketing, but specifically at the moment, I've been trying to take a lead on the media arm that we created. And we discussed last time, and I'm sure everyone is more than aware of at the moment now in terms of our approach on the accounts that we have through Instagram, TikTok, X. And we have also since then recruited some ambassadors, and we're also working on some ad campaigns, some UGC campaigns, and so forth. So there's a lot going on under this media arm, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of questions, and you guys have got some questions lined up to explain a little bit deeper about what's been going on and where the vision of that is. And yeah, in a nutshell, that's me at the moment in SportDotFun. And there is, of course, always some side missions going on, and that's what's fun and tasty about being able to do a wide variety of things alongside the media arm.
No, perfect. Yeah, and obviously we've had you on, I think, a few weeks ago, and Caleb yourself were on one of the earlier episodes with Rikes, in case he's listening. Caleb, do you want to kind of jump us in and just recap about your kind of role within SDF and the marketing?
Yes, I'm CMO for on the marketing side of things. So I'm more on the strategy, partnerships, campaign level side of things. Obviously working in day out with Jordy and Matter as well on the social side. So we kind of we're a small team, and it's kind of everyone's got hands in very similar pies in many cases and kind of taking in their expertise. But yeah, my side is very much strategy, working with all the partners, discussions with ambassadors, creators, everything like that. Also discussed on like kind of the larger partnerships when going into the World Cup and the campaigns around that sort of things, as well as like the structure of the team and kind of the direction we're going to achieve what we want to achieve by the end of this year. So yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up all quite nicely.
No, brilliant. And of course, you're not just a two-man team. There's kind of more numbers in the background away from the front line, shall we call it, and away from, the pitchforks in Discord. Can either one of you kind of just explain the depth and a few of the names to, who's in the background doing the work that we don't really see often?
Yeah. So yeah, we have Matter, who's doing a lot of the social stuff. He's joined us recently. He kind of is handling a lot on the Instagram, X side of things. He's working closely with Jordy across aligning the different social channels, but a lot more on the written copy side of things. He does love his own football content as well, so you'll probably start seeing more of that coming out from the SDF channels as well. But yeah, he's the written comms guy, the tone of voice guy, the guy that kind of understands football culture very well, and we kind of will see that kind of come to life a lot more across the channels. Obviously, me and Jordy. We have Maxime, who's basically a cross brand. So it's both on the UI and UX, but as well as the marketing side of things. So he comes from a big background working with big brands, both on like the design of product, on the products, but also how we translate that to marketing campaigns. So he's very in touch with the kind of creative lead, especially as we go into these bigger campaigns, on how we make sure we kind of really portray the brand in a way that's unique, and we find out kind of the right channels and the right verticals for the product, but also kind of bring it to life in a lot more of an exciting way. I think there's a lot of opportunity to capitalize on having a brand that's not just a sports fantasy brand and kind of having a little bit more of a personality within it, which takes time. But I think if we can master that, it kind of works works wonders in the modern day in terms of the brands you see kind of break out. It's quite pivotal. So yeah, we have Maxime on the brand side. There's us, we work with an agency a little bit on the creative side of things, so like the video and everything like that. And we have a few kind of contractors for like small pieces within the team, but no major roles. So there's 3 of us at the moment. We will be expanding. Everyone's pretty aware that we're looking for an NFL person to come in. So I'm sure we might discuss that on the show as well. But yeah, we're pretty lean. That's kind of also why you see a lot of content around the AI stuff, is like finding optimizations. But yeah, 3 of us in the core team. We have a few kind of external agencies more for the creative side. We have Maxime, who's kind of creative lead across both product and across marketing. And yeah, that's kind of like the structure of the team.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, I suppose it's sometimes difficult because you see such a small group of people, and especially in the Discord or the socials, you see the same names replying and popping back in. So it's great to get that insight.
I was just going to interject the live chat's open for anybody. If you have any questions, we do have it set on subscriber only, just so that we can boost our numbers. So it's very simple. There's no payment there. So just subscribe to the channel, ask away all of your questions, and I'm sure Jordy and Caleb will be interested in answering them. I have kind of one already, and Jordy, it's kind of a follow-up from our previous show together, that there was a fairly huge kind of like planning phase of all of the content that's going on. Obviously, you guys continue to do that. Have there been any situations where you're like, we really need to pivot away from this idea, or we have to jump into this kind of right away, or is it kind of gone to plan so far?
No. Okay, so that's interesting. So there has been a lot of experimentation over the last 6 weeks. Even I personally have been through like multiple recording sessions. We've tried multiple content angles. We've got brain rot. We've got serious content. We've got, prediction content. But the one thing that we've really landed on is storytelling. And I think overall, as like a little bit of brand positioning as well, I'm pretty confident in saying that like all of the content that you'll start to see us push from this moment on will have a lot more of a staple piece feel to it that SportDotFun can be known for. So there's a lot less, shots on goal and it being a shot on target or shot off target. It's now hopefully going to start to be the Raul Jimenez penalty record in the Premier League and just every single time banging them in top bins. But that's my analogy for you. But no, in all seriousness, it's the storytelling angle, right? So what we've understood is that at SportDotFun, we've got some incredible data that not any other platform really covers. And that's purely because a lot of platforms will use data and really target it after the specifics or the intricacies. And they'll really target like a bit of a weird audience. They won't really like tame it up with brand voice. They won't make it entertaining. They'll quite literally just like stat dump. And what you'll recognize if you go and look through like any other social accounts of these big stat organizations is they barely have any traction. And it's quite literally because they don't do anything storytelling with all of these incredible data points. They literally just throw them at you. And that's boring, which is also why I would back the fact that a lot of FPL creators in the traditional games see a ton of traction, because what they're doing is taking all of these data points and then making it interesting in terms of opinion picks or recommendations of what you should do based on this data and so forth. So something that we've recognized, and you can already take a look, for example, the piece of content that we just uploaded on the SDF network account around the England game, is that what we're going to try and focus on that has worked very well and actually generated like 6-figure views already is storytelling staple pieces that relate back stats to information that we get from SportDotFun in the game. So that's the angle that, to answer the question, we fucked around, found out, and really want to bring to life. And this is going to look very organized over hopefully the next 3 to 4 weeks in terms of like really make sense, from a long form to short form to like even a brain rot distribution, we'll call it, right, just for TikTok heads and the 5-second attention span audience. But the main overarching point is that storytelling is massive and something that we can take advantage and make a really good name for ourselves that eventually will convert into a massive interest point for users.
What's like an example of the storytelling genre of this?
Yeah, so an example is the England video that we just uploaded. For example, we go into the details of like the Wonder Kids and how England have had several Wonder Kids over the years, and the statisticians are insane. Like, for example, every single one of them performs at the absolute top elite level at their clubs, and at the national stage, they always flop. So, like, where is that missing interlink? And at some point, will they prevail or will they not? And then if we look on the player by player basis, which is of course more specifically related to Sport.Fun as a game, you'll look at pieces like Lamine Yamal and how many dribbles that he takes on against a certain opposition in the league, and we're able to sort of create a story from that piece of information about how even from a young age he's broken through the ranks, and now he's the most feared winger against defenders, and he's got X amount of dribbles past every single player in the top leagues. Even in the Champions League, his stats are frightening. And you sort of spin this story and throw in lines like, even on Sport.Fun, he's the most owned player. And just spike that curiosity in terms of like consistent name dropping of Sport.Fun and so forth. And that's where you get the like validified statistics from.
Is that kind of just like the most time expensive content to make?
I mean, this is why we've got a really good team with us, right? Is that, as you know, it's a small team of, you could call it 3 of us, 4 including Max, who often helps with the overall brand direction. But we have like editors, etc., that we work with, and a really good agency who help us with the creatives and help us put together the sets, the lighting. They capture the footage really well. They're also experts and people who I've worked with in the past, and some of the agency building that I've done in content and so forth. So yeah, we definitely work with some really good external agencies, but over time I'm sure that will start to look like in-house hires, and we handle everything top to bottom ourselves. But at the moment, it's easier for the lift to take that opportunity to work with great creatives.
I wanted to go back to something you said a little while ago, Jordy, that you said, you fucked around and found out in kind of going down all these different avenues. Can I just ask, what's kind of one thing that you thought, this is going to fucking smash it, this is going to be the one, that just fell on its arse? Is there something that you've kind of gone out thinking, this will be what we're doing for the next months and years, and it just didn't work?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like, I literally previously grew like my startups page from like 0 to 15k by doing front-facing content, opinion-based content, like combined XIs, like always being on the absolute edge of like talking points, or like just being on it for like Champions League, Premier League, like all of these things that just, you could call them jumping on trending topics, but having your own personalized taste behind them. Picking that back up and expecting it to just fly again was an interesting disappointment, but not in over negative way, because the reality is, right, you have to audience build. So we're on a mission to audience build as fast and as large as we can, and doing that in-house, specifically individually, over a 2 to 3 week period, you've got to try a lot and see what sticks very fast in order to catch that massive growth spurt. So that's content that I know worked really well before, but maybe proof in the pudding is that you really do need to have that curated audience to be able to drop that consistent kind of content that people react to. That didn't work off the bat straight away, but the storytelling stuff did, and it really engaged people.
So Legendary here just said, when marketing, and the real question was basically like, do you get fed up being asked that? And I'd actually, apologies to So Legendary, because I don't even want you to answer that question, because I have one that's kind of on top of that, that when you guys see other people say when marketing, what do you think they think that means? Like, I think, and it was kind of like a question that, like, do they expect a commercial for Sport.Fun like during a Champions League match, or like what? And not to say that whatever their marketing idea versus what your concepts are right or wrong. I'm going to guess one is right and one is wrong, but I'm not going to say which one. But like, what do you guys think that type of feedback even means?
I think it's just when new users, right? I think in the ecosystem that we are, it's like everyone's craving new users to come into the ecosystem. I think they say when marketing, like everything they say that's tied to the when marketing always tends to, like, if you look at the root cause, is like they want to see growth in the ecosystem. And that's for different, like everyone has the different incentives of why they want to see that growth. But at the end of the day, it's like they want to see new users enter the platform, because like, you know, I think there's like multiple reasons of, like, obviously they want bags to go up and stuff like that, but I also think like naturally there's PTSD in this genre, and if they get a little bit, I guess, anxious when they see, like, if they're not seeing constant growth and these constant positive signs, they might get a little bit worried and that kind of stuff. So I think from my perspective, when I read that, I'm like, they're asking when new users, and like when are we going to start to kind of capture those new users. And to be honest, like I totally understand why they asked that, and it's completely fair in many ways. Like, if whenever I put myself in their shoes or anything like that, it's like I would be asking the same. And like that is what you want to, like, if you're in the ecosystem, you want to understand that there's an exciting future to come for the ecosystem. Like, everyone wants this to grow, but I think they just want to be like reassured that that is going to happen. And everyone wants it now, is always going to be the case. I think that is where the tension comes a little bit, is like the fact that everyone wants it now, but obviously from our side, it can't always be as of right now in terms of what they want to see, which we can go into further detail for. But yeah, that's at least how I view it whenever I see the when marketing comments.
Can I just ask on that then, Caleb? So from, you know, I've fucking nothing in marketing. So when you start an idea to then putting it out there, whether that be a paid ad, a video, whatever, when do you expect to see the traction? So say if the marketing, you know, when marketing, you say, right, it started today, what kind of timeline, you know, because like it's absolutely agreed. We all want to see new users signing up tomorrow and all putting in hundreds and thousands of dollars. But realistically, when would you say?
It depends on what kind of campaign it is, right? If it's paid ads, it's like we have to go through the process of testing and trialing the different paid ads. And then after a while, you'll get a good rate of it. But you have to understand the full, like, where are we seeing, how many we're seeing convert? Are they actually retaining? Are they depositing? Stuff like that. So paid ads can take a little bit of time. For campaigns, like when we start to work with some of the bigger FPL kind of creators, you expect that to be a little bit quicker, because naturally we're engaging their audience, right? At that point, we're looking to capture an existing engaged audience, directing them to game through promotion. So we'll look to see a much faster adoption curve from that and conversion curve from that. Like when we start to actually put campaigns together, like to date, we haven't put any traditional campaigns out there. Like we've tested, like we're doing tests, we're doing paid ad tests, doing UGC ad tests. We've done some simple tests with like Football Fantasy Scout in our beta, which was like last year. I think last year, March, we done a test with them, which went well. Like that audience was very interested. It actually brought us a good amount of users to the beta that actually came into the pro. And obviously that kind of how that age depend on usage kind of changes. But it all depends on the kind of activation we do. If it's paid ads, it kind of takes a little bit more time to ramp up once we figure out what works and what doesn't, because it is completely a mathematical game. Paid ads is like you're purely looking at, is your ad actually being cost effective? Like that is like the core of it. Not a fun, like it's not an exciting game. It's purely just a constant like creative, like on the creative side it is, but like, yeah, it comes down to a maths game. When it comes to like the campaign level stuff, it's a lot more. We're looking at it to be a lot more impactful. So like when we start the World Cup marketing and we start to do the campaigns with different kind of traditional FPL creators and stuff like that, we expect it to be a lot quicker on seeing the adoption. And then it's like, as we see that adoption, then it becomes a whole different game of like how many of them are actually staying in. They might kind of join, sign up, play one tournament, but they don't get hooked enough. And then there's a whole new stuff to kind of explore as to what that reason looks like and stuff like that. But yeah, basically it kind of depends on campaign. But when we look to do a proper push from like a full funnel campaign, which we'll look to do for the World Cup, it looks to be a lot more reactive in terms of like seeing the new users come in pretty quickly from that side of things. And then, like I say, then there's a whole different game of just, have we built a game that kind of is sticky enough to kind of retain them, which we believe we will have by the time we push this campaign.
No, decent. Yeah, I suppose that kind of answers where my head was going. Because like I say, as a user, you kind of, you know, there was the talk in kind of November, we're going to start marketing soon. Then, you know, December, January rolls around and it's like, oh shit, we're in February. And then it's like, right, marketing's starting now, you know, we're fully in the fledge. And you look at the Tenero tracker or you look on the June reports, you're like, whoa, where's all the users? Because my mind says marketing starts, users join. It's not a case of it's going to take.
Yeah. And I think there's two angles to that, because like there's marketing of like what we're doing for SDFN, but that's not for conversion, right? That's like build a brand. That's to build something that is a higher leverage piece to own a level of distribution. And if we start to like master that content angle side of things, it unlocks so much more from like doing with partnerships, doing with other distribution partners, everything like that. Also kind of also capturing the audience that we want to do. But like the media company right now is like not something that is going to drive direct conversions. Like we're not looking to be like, hey, this is going to drive us the next 1,000 users. The campaigns will do that, like the paid campaigns. But today we haven't like the other side to it is like we're not going out and wasting marketing money if that's not working, right? That is not the side of things that like that's kind of the chicken and egg situation. Is like we could go do paid marketing right now to the audience that we want to capture, but there's a high chance that that becomes inefficient. And that's kind of a more dangerous route to go down, because then we're kind of burning company cash and we're not getting to a point where we actually think that they're going to enjoy it. And that's kind of why we've had to be patient until we kind of turn that on. Because we also done like a test with, in November actually, and this kind of led to like a lot of the insights, is we done a test with Giannis. He's like a FPL creator. He brought in just like 50 of his community to test the free to play and give us like the truly honest thoughts of like full feedback from like, would they play this if they weren't kind of asked to do it? How did they find onboarding? And we got like, it was a mixture of like, once they got far enough in, they enjoyed it, but they pretty much all said like, it felt way too crypto-y at the start. The onboarding, they had no idea how to get started. They really had to kind of get the handheld on it. And this is from like traditional, these are like hardcore FPL users, right? Like this is like this is what we see as our golden cohorts of who we're going after when we go to the Web2 side of things. So we done that test with them. We got insights to it. And that kind of led to the thing of like, okay, like if they all feel like that, and it was like pretty much common back from like all the reports that we got from them. It was the exact same like thesis and response to it all. So that kind of led to us like being like very confident that like, okay, right now there's like clear changes that have to be made before we can go after this audience. Because like we also don't want to alienate them. Because if we go after that audience before we're ready, they've said they've tried our game, they don't like it. It's a lot harder to get them that second time, right? Whereas if we get them the first time and they enjoy it, at least to a good extent, then it's a different world. But yeah, it's kind of, I realize there's been a lot of win-win-wins and the kind of how that goalpost has moved. But it's also like, yeah, it just takes time to set foundations, to get product in a good place, get features like leagues. Leagues are like such a pivotal social feature for a fantasy game that kind of leads to really good social network effects and stuff like that. And it's like, we just want to make sure that when we do it, we have the best shot on goal to be able to kind of really capture that and bring a good life to the ecosystem.
No, awesome. Yeah, because that's the kind of stuff I suppose that we don't see. We don't see that you're doing these kind of case studies and test groups and going out there. So it's sometimes hard to see. And there's often conversations. I think there was a little kind of one loosely in Discord today of saying, well, we're giving these ideas or these suggesting these users, when are you going to go and action it? So it's great to hear that's kind of that's actually being done in the background. I just want to kind of to round it out and to hopefully kind of pry a few more questions in the chat that we can go to. Kind of recapping over the last 6 weeks, then, is everything kind of as not as expected, in the traditional sense, but kind of, has there been any unexpected learning curves? Are you kind of sticking with the original plan? Have you changed direction? Like, what kind of has happened over the last 6 weeks, would you say?
I think from the media side, there's been pretty much what Jordy covered. Like what we always knew was going to be like a position of like, get it live and adapt and evolve. Like we're not going to become an ESPN. We're not going to become some crazy media company overnight, right? It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of iteration. And that's why like we pretty much set it live the day we got sign off from legal. Like the day we basically sped run it. Like the day legal signed it off, we set it live, purely because like we realized like there's obviously a time crunch of like, look, it's not going to be the biggest thing ever by the World Cup, but we want to be in a good position for that. So like we set it live by then, but we knew it was going to be like so many teething issues. So like I think on the media side, there's been a lot of like learnings that we're kind of working through and adapting and finding that niche that we sit in and kind of working through. On the traditional marketing side of like what we're setting up for future campaigns, not much has changed. Like we are very established on who our core audience is that we're going after. And it's just been building out those like relationships, what those deals look like going forward when we're going to set it live. And then kind of the next level to that is what product features have to be there to make sure we get the most out of this. And like I think they both go in hand very well together in terms of like what we're going to see from a product perspective and how that actually really helps the marketing side of things.
What kind of, I don't want to like say the time frame, but can you kind of estimate when, even like during the year, like the calendar year, of when we'll say like, oh, they're really marketing now and stuff like that? Like, is the expectation that we're going to see a lot of stuff leading into the World Cup, or leading into the World Cup, maybe into the Champions League, and then the beginning of the NFL season? Like, is that when we should be expecting to see the when marketing stuff?
Yeah, I think on the football side, for World Cup, May is when everything's like, won't give exact dates, obviously, because that is too risky. Sure. But May, like it has to be May, because like there has to be enough time build up to like pre-World Cup to engage leagues really, and like everyone, like you really want to capture a lot of that audience kind of pre-World Cup going into it, right? So everyone's kind of set, they're in the game, they're ready to play, and then they kind of live through it for the World Cup. For NFL, looking at like July, like start of July is where like things ramp up more in terms of just like the basis of it going into the new season, because that obviously is like 3 months out, and we have a lot more time to kind of get that going. Obviously, the planning for that's way ahead, but like in terms of like really starting to just kind of kickstart things will be July. And then obviously for like the new season of football is kind of just going to roll over straight from World Cup into the start of the season. So like that is pretty much going to be probably not much of a break between the two. It's kind of going to be, how do we take the users from World Cup into the new one, and then how do we re-engage and kind of also now capture new users for the new season, because that's probably going to be the biggest, most important period, because we'll have learnings from the World Cup and also like further product improvements to go into the new season. But yeah, May for the football side of things for going into the World Cup, July for the NFL side of things to get started. And then, yeah, the football new season, like I said, is kind of just a rollover from World Cup.
So just out of my own kind of curiosity, how much do you guys, obviously it's a small team, so I don't even want to say like communicate, but how much do you guys work with kind of the product group where you're like, hey, we have this campaign or we have this idea that we want to implement by this date. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to be ready for that. Or, hey, we're releasing this today. Can you guys do something about it?
No, yeah, we work closely with them. For the big features, it's working very closely for them, like on how it all ties in. Sometimes there's like small features that are like contract extensions, stuff like that. That's a little bit more like kind of bespoke as they kind of get picked up by the engineering team. But overall, we work very closely with them. Like we had a call actually earlier today around World Cup and what is needed, like in terms of like how we're looking from a product perspective. What are the key things that have to be kind of ready for X date? And everything's kind of looking good there. And like from a product perspective, Adam's built out some very like interesting processes that we're seeing of being very fruitful from a product perspective, of being able to like MVP features to get into engineering in kind of insane amounts of time now. So it's just kind of opening the doors to make sure we have a lot more for when we do kind of have this revamp coming for the World Cup. But yeah, in short, we work very closely with them because especially on the marketing side of things, it is and where the platform is right now, it kind of needs to align with key product features that are going to come in to really kind of help us on the marketing side to get the most out of what we push. So we have to work quite closely to make sure that everything we do aligns.
Do you want to throw it to some of the comments in the, have we got any coming through? I'm trying to pull it all up on one small laptop screen.
Sorry. Yeah. No, I mean, one of them was just simply like, what's the expected timeline for the full build out of the final game experience? But I'm not sure that, like, I hate to say, I feel like we're asking the wrong guys. No offense, guys.
Yeah. Oh, no. It's like, it's hard to say because I think there's just so much that like we still want to like improve on it and get to the final stage. I think you'll see a newer experience for the World Cup, but like probably still like missing some stuff that we want to get in there ahead of the new season. But like you'll see stuff like leagues. You'll see stuff that are kind of part of the revamp from a design perspective, onboarding flow, some other potential stuff that we've discussed, but like I want to speak about, but I won't speak about it yet. Maybe in a few weeks time.
Why don't we like
Mike
drop
is
like a tiny thing of like, oh, like free to play will have
like free to play will have like free to play will be a key part in what we're doing from the marketing perspective. So we wanted like the ability for people to enjoy the game on a social factor between free to play and pro very like seamlessly. So like having leagues where free to play and pro players can compete with each other in the same leagues, I think is very important, because then people who don't want to just put money in yet but kind of want to get the feel for it can still play against their friends that are playing pro, and especially around the World Cup where like you probably might want your friends to play and just compete with each other, but like they don't want to put money in yet because they're not sold on it or something like that. They can come and you can all compete in the same league, and then it might show that you're a pro and they might show that they're a free player. So if they're beating you, it starts to kind of have these signalings of like, well, if he's a pro player, I'm better than him, why am I not kind of there, sort of thing. So like you build this dynamic that's really good. And I think that's one of the lucky things of like how leagues would be built out around skill ranking, is we can build this like beautiful relationship between free to play and pro to allow for like people to get a good feel around it from free to play. And then we build a whole new funnel just from free to play to pro to kind of convert the free to play. And there's some other stuff around free to play as well that we'll look to enable for the World Cup, but I'm going to wait for Mike's green light on that next week. Once we got that, then we can maybe hop back on as well.
I feel like if Caleb wasn't here, Jordy would have just told us.
Oh,
100%.
Without a
doubt.
I would have just dealt with it afterwards. I'm like, oh, well, I said it.
He's the leaker. You're going to have to put pressure on him.
It was like the last episode, Jordy, when you're like, I really shouldn't say this, but, and then you'd come out with it. So maybe we'll just remove Caleb from the room for 5 minutes, and we'll get some gossip at the end.
In fairness,
to be fair, this one's a bit more product as opposed to the like marketing campaigns that we run as well, which is probably like a really quick thing, Andrew, that we could probably clarify as well, is that like the whole when marketing thing makes total sense when it boils down to the real question, like Caleb covered, right? Like that's obviously what people mean. I'd say the fun marketing is also what we have been keeping up, right? Like we've done predictions, we've done all of those card campaigns. We obviously had a really great oh my god, why have I forgotten what it's called?
TGE campaign.
TGE, that's the three letters I was looking for. We had like the TGE campaign. So, all of those things are also a lot of effort that go into those in order to make sure that they're smooth, make sure that our community is entertained. But, ultimately, we do understand that the when marketing is mainly focused around users. But that's not to say that we're not also trying to put marketing effort individually into these campaigns that also keep things moving. And I'm actually working on another one of those. And, they do also bring a lot of valuable attention and brand awareness to us. So that's also important on a marketing level. But ultimately, yeah, we do understand that when marketing in our community means when new users. That's the white line.
I was going to say before, Adam is either the best or the worst at starting sentences with "I shouldn't say this" and then says it. So I don't think you guys have anything to worry about there. But with that said, So Legendary has this comment: what is the thing Jordy is the most excited about and definitely shouldn't tell us? Caleb, I could actually just take Caleb off if we want to really get down to it.
I mean, there's a few things. It's not that what I shouldn't say, but like I may as well fucking address OpenClaw. Like one of the things that I'm most excited about is like because of all of the OpenClaw stuff that we as a team have been taking advantage of and using, like the stuff that Adam has been building is like insane. Like he just went way deeper than even what I comprehended with OpenClaw, and he has built like this incredible system that now allows us as a company to operate at like 10x the product speed. So that's something that I'm really excited about, because it means that as we were talking about being close to product as a marketing team, it means that like all this league stuff that Caleb and I are definitely both really excited about, because that just unlocks so much marketing power through content, through campaigns, through customer acquisition methods, but also in the fact that like that's a really good example of something that we can now build into the product roadmap way quicker than before, because of the amazing work that has come from us as a team utilizing AI. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about teams. I'm excited about being able to do some IRL stuff as well, to be honest. The World Cup is coming up. I'm sure we're going to be able to put together some real life campaigns where we actually get to go out. We can do content. We can grow ourselves as a media arm. We can make cool moments and actually start making some football culture around the brand and around the awareness like pieces that we put together. So yeah, I obviously was vocal before about Dubai. It's super unfortunate that just couldn't happen, unless we all fancied going down the Strait of Hormuz on a boat to see if we could get to Token 2049, but probably not. So that was a roadblocker of something that I was pretty excited to look for and looking forward to, putting that campaign together, but never mind. So I'm sure going to be able to pick up steam and do something similar around the World Cup if we weren't already planning on those events anyway. But yeah, I'd say that's what I'm most excited about. I'm pretty sure I can talk about all of that. The free to play stuff is the thing that you're gonna have to wait for. It's not like a huge dramatic thing. It's more just like a real stepping stone and a real like I can't say it without giving it away.
Can I ask then, Jordy, is it going to be a case of it's beneficial for pro users to jump over to the free to play as well, or is this just purely as an onboarding tool, like Caleb said, getting people that aren't playing into it?
That's a fair point. I don't think it would interest pro players to hop over. What it'll do is it'll interest pro players to actually start talking about the game more, and it'll actually encourage way easier viral loops, like the loop of being able to actually create content, create traditional marketing pieces. It could even come down to the most basic thing of leaving a QR code somewhere for someone to scan and join straight away, kind of thing. Like, it just removes a lot of barriers to where the pro game currently would be quite difficult to just tell your friend, like, come and join, come try this out. That's what I would say is the most exciting part, is the moat really shows itself off.
Yeah, I've certainly had those conversations with mates and shown them the game, and they've gone, "Oh, I'll get into that," and I've almost had to say, "No, it's not for you," because they're people that have got no idea of any Web3 crypto, nothing at all, and I've kind of had to have the kind of just say, "Look, I just don't. It's not at the point for you to come on." So, but if I could go back and say, right, there's a free to play, I can walk you through it, but there's literally no risk. Then that's the thing, because there is the worry of risk in anything that we do here. We watched Kevin De Bruyne not long ago, his price drop massively. Mbappe's had his price drop rapidly. There's nothing that's quote unquote safe. And if I'm to refer somebody and they go throw £200 into it, and then they come back to me next week saying, I've only got 50 quid now, it's all gone, and I'll be like, oh, sorry, mate. There's nothing I can do. So that does sound kind of positive to give something to on board.
Yeah, and they can get familiar with it, right? They can work out the feat, they can work out how it works, see if it's a bit of them. Obviously, we're doing a lot of work on the other side to also remove the uncertainty and kind of some of the volatility on that side of things. But I do think it is just nicer as a user, unless you're like a hardcore paying cash user on other platforms. It is nice to be able to jump in on free to play and just understand how it works mechanically, how the scoring system works. Like, also, if you're a traditional FPL user, you don't watch as much of the European leagues, right? So you need to get a little bit more familiar with, like, is Kevin De Bruyne still who he used to be? Like, all of this kind of stuff. Like, you build that up. And I think that's why also, like, having the leagues where you can be a pro player or a free-to-play player, we build a nice social dynamic of being able to bring in friends and kind of introduce them to the platform, introduce them how to play, be competitive, be hyper. Like, that's another thing, is like leagues just opens a whole new world of competition. Like, FPL is purely built around just going in there and trying to beat your friends and win in the group chat, right? Complete ego. We don't have that right now, because you can go to the leaderboard, but like, you got to then go find your friend. Like, if you're just in the group chat and you can see who's the worst, Like it is a huge psychological feature from like, especially on fantasy platforms. So being able to do that between free to play and pro is will be helpful, like for the exact case that you kind of explained, Palmer, of just being able to get people familiar with it that might be interested but don't want to go down to cash first, and still enjoy the social factor of being able to chat to you about who you picking this week, and like what does your lineup look like, and all those kind of different discussions you can have at the pub.
Awesome. Just to kind of derail it almost, but put it more in your ballpark. Obviously at the moment it's kind of, from a user perspective, marketing's quite quiet, and whenever we do hear about marketing, it's very much campaign focused. So we've got the Super Bowl happening, we've got, you know, the World Cup happening, we've got the draft happening, like these kind of targeted events. Do we kind of expect that maybe in 6 months' time it's no longer as targeting, there's going to be a constant feed, or do you think you're always going to be focused on campaign targeting and then kind of quiet on a lot of fronts and then ramp it back up?
No, it'll be a lot more always on. Like it really comes down to product as to why it's not right now. Not like obviously it's an amazing product, but like it's more just like the funnel of where like liquidity goes in terms of like if we drive, like again, like basically the inefficiency of ad spend.
Yeah.
Like if we go and drive new users in, if we're not finding a route that's like even though you look at how many people created wallets, and I've encountered like at least 8 people who have told me they went to the platform and they got to the point where like I tried to buy packs but I couldn't, and like that blocker of like they try to buy packs but they couldn't, and they never tried again. And like as much as people like, oh, this is a great platform, I don't know why you guys like think it needs so much more. It's like, no, you do though. Like if you go from a new player perspective, and I'm sure you guys probably have heard this as well, of like someone's gone on there and they like try to buy packs, so like there's just like not a clear getting started unless you know someone. So if we're doing paid advertising and like it's going to a fresh new user who knows nobody who's playing this right now, and they're going to be like the first in their social tree that will like play this game and then invite their friends, they need to be able to get into that super easily. So like it's more just a thing of like we need those like that clear, easy onboarding. We need the offerings. So we'll have clear offerings of being able to like, hey, if this is a bit of you'll be able to kind of like get a special offering to get started. Also having a page where like they can go to and get a gist of the platform without having to log in. So right now unless you go to our website, you go to the platform, it's just an instant login. Like you don't have any idea what you're actually getting into. Whereas you go to like a Polymarket, you go to any of these others, they have like this like overview page where you get a gist of it. It creates curiosity. You're like, oh, okay, like that looks really interesting. Okay, I'm actually like gonna explore this further. It's all these kind of things in the funnel of like a new user that you really need there to like pique curiosity, to convert them, whether it's like an offering, to then once they're in there have objectives of like, one of the first objectives is create a league and invite your friends. That already, okay, they go invite 2 friends. You've then got 3 people for that one person. And like you build these loops that really helps push the network effect. But yeah, that's a long way to say it'll go to an always on thing. But it's like there's these key things we need to solve and get in a good place to then like go always on, but like they're still going to be beats, right? Like they're still going to be hyper focused around big moments where you can capitalize on them. Start of the season is obviously a huge one. Obviously Champions League stuff is also huge. International is huge, stuff like that. So like there's always going to be the beats, but yeah, the big thing for us is
distribution too, as well, right? Like everything that Caleb's even just covered there, like your mind can already expand. And I don't know if this is biased towards what I do with the content side of things, but you can imagine like how much more content can flow when you have a product that is ready to onboard users. Think about how many ads I can record here in this box of like, do you like this? Do you like that? Like all of these UGC tactics of going, just like a Polymarket example of how they pay college kids to do like, oh my God, have you seen Donald Trump just shook his hand? I had it on Polymarket, bro. Like all of those stupid things, right? But they will eventually convert. We can do all of this constantly, and we're trying and trialing now, and we've made ads, I've recorded ads and so forth. But like Caleb said earlier, there isn't a lot of reason to go and pummel money at that right now. It's good to test. It's good to find formulas. It's good to know how to win. But it will feel more on as well, because you just will never have something not to look at through daily content, that's curated and it's storytelling, it's engaging through seeing our ads in multiple different places, because the call to actions actually mean something and they lead somewhere and they give you something to do. They give you a viral loop of inviting a friend. I think it's during the World Cup and post World Cup, it will be relentless.
Do we think we'll ever see kind of packs being able to get bought with gold then? So obviously, Caleb, you said, they click on and they go, oh, fuck, I've got no TP, I can't buy a pack, this is shite. Because it's that FIFA mentality of, I start my game not by buying the player I want, but by buying packs and doing it random. Is that something that you guys have explored?
There's been discussions around it, looking like, obviously how mechanically that stuff works is very different, because it can't be like it would need to be like kind of buying off the main market in a way. There's been discussions, but not something I would say like has been explored very deeply of like something that will be in the short term. But it's something we're aware of like that people enjoy. Also having packs of packs, it opens up a lot of opportunities just in terms of making different variabilities, having club specific ones, stuff like that in the future. But I wouldn't say it's something that's going to be super, super close to anything on the product side at the moment.
So I want to go back to the content stuff, because selfishly I'm interested in that more than anything else. You guys have talked a few times about basically like user generated content versus the content that you guys are putting out. Is there like an ideal split that you guys have in your head of like, we really want to make X amount of content, but it'd be great if our users made this amount of content? And on that kind of topic, what does the site need or what do you think the site needs that makes user generated content easier to make?
I think it just go on, Jordy. You can jump into this one.
Yeah, you want me to? So I mean, like there's separate verticals, because number one is that if we're talking about UGC, like I just mentioned, that's like the content that we create and curate is because we want to be known and recognizable as a brand for that kind of content, and like you go to us for that. We're entertaining. If we do something that it's kind of considered like a cultural piece, and you'd be like, that's fucking cool, and so forth. Then you have the other side, which is just like a relentless user acquisition method of UGC, which is like, what angles can we paint of, I just packed X, Y, and Z worth this much. Oh my God, I'm watching Lamine Yamal on TV and I just packed him on SportDotFun. Like those kind of angles. So how can we make the product interesting so that that's able to be created? And then there's the third angle of what you're saying of like, every moment within the game and platform needs to feel shareable. So we often refer to it as receipts. Adam will probably love that I've just used that word because it's his favorite thing to say. But like, we need to have more ways to print and show off your receipts in the platform. So like, I just made this pick. I just finished this position in the leaderboard. I just opened my pack and got this player worth this much. Like those kind of things that do tie into our overarching loop of the thesis of the internet sports bar. That's what we're looking at in terms of product, and both in the media arm and the content types, right? Because content is almost everywhere you look, and it should be auto generated by the people within your app, but also easy to talk about, and also curated to the point where it's got brilliant brand awareness as well. So I think that should answer the question, but if not, follow it up and Caleb can probably take it.
So, well, I guess where we are now, it seems like the most, and I'll just call it like receipt content, is pack openings. And, it's fun to see people open packs. I feel like a lot of the content is actually like just the pack. And so it's like the pack and a voice or whatever it is. But do you guys kind of envision other things on the platform that become shareable like that?
Everything that would make sense to, like, you buy a player, like you should be able to then, like, in the future have, like, be able to show that, like, I bought this player before this game and look, I played out, like I was right. There needs to be, even from the picks side of things, a lot more like clear shareable content around picks. Like, here are my picks, or like, here were my picks, and how did this compare to like the actual ideal? Like, how close was I to like the perfect picks? And like, did I get 3 out of 5? Did I get 4 out of 5 this week? And then there's like pretty much everything where it could be an opinion and like you can be shown to be right should be made to be able to be a receipt on out there on the social side of things. Like, it needs to become where like you can go and kind of make a position based on your opinion on something to do with sports in general, and you're able to kind of share that as a social receipt, or like either before and after, like brings the social validation. I agree, like right now packs is like their main piece that you can. Some of picks is a little bit, but like we've very much thought through this, and like Adam's thought through this very heavily in terms of like this whole UI UX rebrand of like, how do we make sure that like the key points of behavior on the platform where you're kind of making opinion, it's like becomes a sociable, shareable piece, if possible. And then there's like easy stuff like just even like the current like live score kind of section, making that a little bit more popping to be more shareable, so people use that, like our users use our platform to share results and stuff like that. Like, there's the small things, but really like, yeah, it's really like we want to make sure that people's opinions are able to be shared in a very clear manner.
And do you guys have an ideal medium for that? Like, is it video? Is it graphic? Is it tweets? Is it text messaging? Like, is it like, what's the, how do you guys prefer that stuff? Like, what makes the most sense from like getting people to see it and act on that?
Yeah, I think it's like text and visuals, like having like a clear snapshot of a receipt. So like an image is like the best, and like similar to how you see like polymarket receipts and everything like that. An image that shows clearly what you're trying to do, and then people can narrate on that how they want. So like they can do a video about it if they want to. It allows for creative. Like most people on a platform aren't going to make videos. Like in terms of like the average user, they're happy to post a tweet about their opinions and be like do written content because it's just like the lift's a lot easier, right? We'll then have the capability of like being able to make videos and stuff with it. But yeah, it's like very much a snapshot of an image that then can be shared across X, but you can also send into a group chat if you want, however you want to kind of do that shareable. But like, yeah, a static image in terms of showing exactly your receipt and your opinion.
I'd also say it would encourage video though. Like honestly, like there's a whole era of kids, maybe 28-year-olds now, that tried to be YouTubers back in the day when FIFA was a thing, right? Like everyone bought the Elgato. Everyone like immediately jumped into the whole FIFA thing and thought they could be content creators. I think maybe some of the new UI and UX changes that we're making, those people who do like aspire to make content and like have things to talk about and get excited by that, I do feel like all of these new receipts, and even though some of them will be static images to share on socials in the traditional way, there's probably a lot of elements in this new UI and experience that we're building that bring a lot of like video talking points too. But specifically to what Caleb just said, like, yeah, obviously the initial things will be share them through images to whatever you want through X, through Instagram stories. But I do think it's worth noting that the new direction of information being presented should be quite inspiring and give you so much to talk about, which in theory does loop back to then why we want to go down the storytelling angle in the media arm, right? Is like, if we can be the reason why other people are inspired to go and make videos from our game and information and all of these things being presented to you, then that's the goal.
We obviously went through as well a phase with the kind of the packs got changed. We went to the C9 pick 3 with the big kind of reveal. Kind of talk me through your guys' feelings, thoughts, reactions to the fallout of that when it got pushed through. Because I mean, even myself wasn't a big fan. I think kind of it was a big tidal wave of negativity in terms of the response to that. Kind of what were your guys' thoughts?
I had my eyes closed.
No, I think it was like it was just one of those things that like from a product that got like product feature that got pushed. Obviously, I think the intent was right, and we just didn't get it nailed on the head in terms of where that was heading. I think now, like, the pack's so good, like when you get the 3, goes to the potential to have like a multiplier, like there's a good piece there. It was just, obviously it wasn't a fun period, but like, look, we're a startup, we're going, like, obviously we hold ourselves to a very high standard in terms of like, we wouldn't ever have wanted to kind of enter a situation like that, but it happens. And like, I think we act very quickly when those things do happen. So I think it was just a speed thing, and also like a lot of learnings, right, internally, of like processes that to avoid going through a situation of like releasing something that clearly was not good fit for the audience and the users and stuff like that. So like, we have a lot in place now that so far has been working really well, of like just an overall testing and like the process of like making sure that like, from a concept that might sound really good, but like going to use it and like experiencing it, what does that look like? And does it really feel as how you imagined it to feel? So yeah, it was one of those things, like, look, it was never fun. But it's like, that's just the nature of this world. Like we're not going to hit them all perfectly. But I'd say we've got a pretty good hit rate so far. But it's just the nature of it. Like those things were bound to happen. It was the pack situation. We adapted, we learned, and yeah, I think now we've got a good solution for it. But yeah, obviously never fun in those times. I think Rick's probably gets the worst of it. So shout out him. But yeah, it's just one of those things.
I appreciate you not sitting there and being like, I don't know, that was a fucking product, guys. We didn't have anything to do with that.
I set him up for that as well. I was like, I don't know.
Shit, you laid me up and I didn't take it.
Do you guys, so Jordy, you've kind of touched on where a lot of the content that you guys are creating is going. Do you envision SportDotFun having like, it's like somewhere on the platform, some kind of central content hub where if you don't want to miss anything, it's all there? Or is it better to have users kind of have to follow you on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and everything else?
Oh, do you know what? That's an interesting point that I haven't necessarily considered just yet, purely because I'm in tunnel vision mode and trying to like scale it and as big as possible. But honestly, I think what would be really cool is if we can build this world where SDFN, it feels separate, but it's not. It's almost like this like massive media arm that's like commentating over the game all the time. So it's almost like if the SportDotFun was the Premier League, SDFN is Sky Sports, and just like everything is always there. And you know, the first thing you do is probably go look at that for anything. And like, there's probably going to be, we could call it like ads or sponsors of the network all over the app and be like, you know, come check out the content, like that sort of thing. That would be my vision for it, is that it like feels like a Jumbotron, like going around, like everywhere you look, there's something interesting to do or like watch or consume, and everything that's being pushed to you within the app is something interesting for the app. It's not like we're just going to upload a story about Lamine Yamal and be like, oh, everyone go check it out. It's more like, oh, this is actually a piece of content we've curated that we know users will like, versus the audience that we build that will just enjoy the fact that we are a sports brand. Yeah, that's the world that I see. And it's more just, I would love to get us to a place where brand recognition and culture is really present, so that when we do amazing things through IRL activations, partnerships, working with other brands, like it does actually impact our customer acquisition models, because it's all very intricately tied together and it's seen as cool that this amazing game and platform is right there, in the same way that Polymarket is probably doing a very good job at that. And I know they're probably the easiest thing to always bring up as an example, but it's true, because they've got unlimited marketing budget, right? So when you can fuck around and find out that quick, you're gonna get to the pivotal point of, oh, we've got a really cool culture now. Well, yeah, no shit, you spent like 10 mil. But yeah, that's where I see it going and where I would love to take this, and will take it.
I think you guys should pivot away from trying to be Polymarket, and I think what you should do is get Jordy out on an electric scooter. And have you seen the guy in the big Zin outfit with think we need Jordy to be a mascot, going around the streets of England on an electric bike, signing.
That could be good.
Hey.
Maybe that's a spoiler alert
Yeah.
of our next container out there.
That was it.
Get in the fan zones. See what I can stir up in some content.
They always make me laugh when it's like a really serious conversation and he spins the thing around. He's like this massive thing. You're like, oh wow. But no, I mean, there's so much that can be done, and I think it is the tip of the iceberg, and that's the beautiful thing about it. I think you make some absolutely great points that, at the moment, especially from, like you say, when you call it a case study, whatever, you've had the groups in and you've gone through the testing, got the feedback about sign-ups and the onboarding. It's very obvious, I think, for the users that there's things that need polishing up. Dark mode took 6 months, and it's like these just little niggling things that once it's polished, you can then just, floodgates open and hopefully come kind of May time, like you were saying, for the World Cup, we'll really start seeing it getting hammered home and going from there. So it's a lot of positives to take. Laird, is there anything kind of flying around in the comments? We've been going live for just over an hour now, I think, pending our delayed start. Is there anything that's kind of been asked in there?
I think we touched on everything other than this borderline inappropriate comment from Rix that I probably shouldn't put up on screen anyway.
I'm curious now. You piqued my curiosity.
I mean, fuck it. It says, I've got a good picture of Jordy I can share with you. He loves posing with big dicks. I feel like there's got to be a story here now.
I think it's better without the story, to be honest. I think it's better than contactless.
Simple as that.
Yeah, that is the new marketing tactic. Jordy, instead of outfits, he's going to pose me on big dicks. That's what it is.
I've never even met Rix. How have I got a photo with him?
Oh, bloody hell. I was going to say, I'm sure I'm just trying to find in my notes. There was one more question.
So the fun thing about dark mode as well, Palmer, if you do want to know a fun fact of that, is that thanks to how long dark mode took, now we can do really fun redesigns with everything, right? So like, for example, like World Cup redesign, like make that look awesome, throwback to like 2010 South Africa World Cup FIFA days where like you get a whole reskin. That's the kind of thing that we can do now because dark mode took ages and we did it properly. Didn't give it to Claude.
Fair enough. I'll tell you what, on Sunday, the team we were playing against were warming up with the bright yellow and purple Total 90 football. I was like,
oh yeah,
hell. Like I don't know where they've got that there on a Sunday morning, but they obviously found it in a bush, I'd imagine. Kind of one thing I just want to touch on as well. You kind of you've name dropped Polymarket quite a lot. There's been some questions. Obviously, you kind of said, oh, there's partnerships out there and there's kind of working together. When are we going to kind of see a bit more of that unravel in terms of whether it be timeline or whether there's going to be an event happening? Do we know?
Yeah, I mean, on the Polymarket stuff, it's just like a list of like where it sits on the features side of things. So I can't say an exact timeline side of things. It's like it's on the list of like what we see as like something we want to integrate. But it's just where we see that like it's not going to sit above leagues. Like there's certain things that are just way higher prior. It adds a beautiful feature of like another data point. Like there's going to be so many data points as we kind of in this new kind of design to kind of lead to new intel. So it is like the play would be to have like live Polymarket markets kind of showing up there as new data points. But it's currently on the list of like what we're going to be integrating, but currently not in the, I would say, top 5 features, just because like we have to like you say, get all the stuff that's like rough around the edges sorted. And then that's one of the features that kind of is like an amazing add-on, but just something that will activate once we think it's in the right place and it's the best next thing to do.
Decent. And follow up on that kind of separate. I know, Jordy, you mentioned about kind of the Dubai event falling through, and when we last had you on the kind of podcast, you were highlighting there was going to be stuff going on with Evra and things like that. Is that kind of completely fallen through, or have you been able to kind of reschedule and kind of rearrange something to put together as kind of an event and have Evra be a bit more visible potentially?
Yeah. Sorry, Japan just scored.
Yeah, I just saw one.
I've just like flashed on my. Oh my god. No, yeah. So like, I don't know if there's much we can say about that. It's more like availability. But like, just as a gentle reminder, like, ever as an ambassador investor, like, it's not like we're paying him money to do something. So yeah, the difference is, unfortunately, with Dubai, it was like a really set up plan. So it's quite frustrating, but already like trying to bounce back and trying to form conversations. I don't know how solidified anything that I'm about to say can be, but like trying to pull together an IRL event around the Champions League final day before the World Cup, just to like sort of bring something together, hopefully compare it with something digital as a big push, and bring things together. And I'd love to have Ever involved in that, but unfortunately, just purely due to the nature of timing and trying to figure those sort of things out, like Dubai was a bit of a sucker punch. It is what it is. Right on to the next thing. And to make it clear, I swear, is that like Japanese? Is that what it is?
Well, I think we've just found out my light has a 1 hour lifespan.
Yeah, like the plan. My efforts are already immediately trying to spin something additional up as well, because while obviously I am focusing heavily on the media arm, that doesn't mean to say that on a day-to-day basis, Caleb and I don't try to, move things forward. And like I said earlier about those mini activations that we do that people clearly don't count as marketing. Predictions, I guess, just wasn't marketing, and all of these things. That was a joke, guys. Yeah, like all of these mini things that pop up, that's what we try to collaborate on, but also stay in our lanes to make sure we get the most amount productively done. So yeah, an event I would love to say is coming. I'm planning on making it happen, and hopefully Ever is a part of that.
Yeah, just on the Ever stuff, like obviously it's dynamic, right? So like he wants to support us, and like we'll find the right times to. Dubai is obviously like was a unique situation where he lives in Dubai. Mate, that's where I done the podcast with him, like where he records. Like it's a lot easier, like timing wise, for someone. He obviously has a very packed schedule, but he is like, I think some of the misconception is like people see him as like we're paying him as an ambassador. And where like it feels like it was just a one-off thing. It's a lot more of a relationship of like, one, we don't want to abuse that relationship in a way that like we're trying to use him at the wrong timings. For the World Cup, we will be looking to use him for like the trust lever. I think the other side of it is like, he's not going to be the thing that drives us loads of users. He's going to be the thing that drives like, oh, that's very cool. That's a trust factor. That's nice for the branding piece. He's great on social. So like it does bring a thing of like, he can bring amazing awareness. He can also obviously open amazing doors because he's incredibly well connected. There's like some pieces to it that are amazing. But anyone who's like, one thing I'd push across is like, that is not what we relying on to be like that kind of North Star savior of like when we activate him in the mainstream, it's going to go crazy, because that's not what works. Like a streamer with like 500 concurrent viewers will probably do more. Like that is the reality of it. They have a much more engaged audience and stuff like that. So and like the relationship that he came on as an investor and ambassador, like if one day I'll tell the tale of like how it all played out, and how like just like the relationship we have there. But I can say that like what we've got so far out of working with him is like more value than we ever should have. So like anything we do going forward as well is just incredible from a relationship standpoint. So I think it's one thing to be aware of, like we didn't go blast all of our marketing budget on bringing him as ambassador, but also just two of like the type of relationship is like he sees us as one of his portfolio investments. He'll help us wherever he can. He really likes the team. He invested because of the team, and like it aligns with who he is. But yeah, it's more just like I wanted to add context there, because I know a lot of people ask around the Patrice Evra stuff, but I think like it's really kind of putting spotlight of like what kind of ambassador relationship that is. So like maybe future ones we will have where it's just for this tournament, this campaign, this tournament, like there might be those cases. But for that one specifically, it is like an investor ambassador one. Like a lot of it is he's doing it just because he wants to support us and he likes the team. And he's like an investor. So like he sees it more for the long term. So it's not a thing of like, yeah, we'll do 5-a-side, we'll do the tournaments, and that's what we're getting out of him. But yeah, wanted to add a little bit of context there.
Laird, your eyes just perked up.
Did we know about that? The little slip of 5-a-side?
Oh, that was the Dubai plan. So that
Yeah,
was like
I told you about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I told you about Ever Fives and, like.
Oh, that's right.
how
That's
I
right.
was
That's
gonna
right.
Frame it. Yeah.
Got
I
me
was
thinking I'm
excited about
leaking
that.
No, that Caleb, that was a leak. So you might as well leak us about the other stuff as well. You know, in for a penny, in
Get
for
the
a
whole
pound.
list. Might as well. Just still send it.
To be fair,
No.
Caleb, you did mention something that we never touched on, which is like an interesting point, and like it can be really brief just to get a bigger picture for the media arm as well. But like the ambassadors that we're working with, the live streamers that we're trying to pull together, like we're really trying to make as much noise as possible during the World Cup. Like we want to have live streamers covering every game with us so that there's always someone to watch throughout the major games. We pulling together, like multiple ambassadors that are creating consistent content. We've generated 5.6 million views in the last 12 days, like ourselves and with ambassadors, because we've picked some brilliant people and some brilliant lads. Like we are really trying to expand that network as well. So that was just a point that completely missed out earlier, but Caleb mentioning live streams and like how that's plus EV, it was worth saying that, another reason why it might seem in the background nothing's going on, but you've got to organize these things. You've got to find the right talent. You've got to battle with the overpriced ones and tell them to do one.
No, that I suppose, and as well, this is kind of it's painful almost as a user, because reality is since September it's kind of been a downward slope. If you take a pretty much a 2 to 3 week period across any part between now and September, it has been a downward slope. And it's like, I'll just hold out for another 2 months and then we'll see, and you'll then see the start. And then when it starts in May, we'll be like, well, where is everybody? It's like, oh, well, the World Cup's not, it's kind of, you're not moving the goalposts. It's just they're quite far away. And as users, the project's not there yet. And it's the patience piece. So
it is. I think it is like, it is just one of the unique parts of Web3, right? Like you've got to understand, like it's a product that's been live for 7 months or 8 months now. Like it is just like the double-edged sword of the fact that like most products come to market in like a beta format. And like if you try speed run that to being like the full launched ready product, it doesn't happen in the timelines that like a Web3 audience wants. Which like, and like don't get me wrong, like we feel it just as much of like as a team, we want to be at that stage where we're going like doing all the stuff, working with like the ambassadors, the campaigns are going live. Like we're now at the stage of like news is always coming in and now it's like optimization and we're looking at that. Like we want to be there just as much as the community do. Obviously we have the benefit of the insight of like where we're going and what's to come. And I think it's like, we fully understand. And especially from my side, I fully understand of like why the community feel the way they do, how they see it. And like, it's not always like the easiest thing. It's just sadly the nature of like, if you want to do things right, like there's also the community would be just unhappy if we went the other way. Like if we went and started the marketing at the start of Jan, and it didn't end up being a result, I think that's worse because then you kind of seen the shot on goal and it didn't play out. And then it's a little bit like, okay, what now? And with less resources. So it's kind of like a no-win situation in that case, in my opinion. But it's also not easy. Like I understand from the community side of things, it's not always easy. And we are trying to share more. We are trying to give more updates and more insights. So yeah, we'll continue to do so. But hopefully we are at that last little sprint before we're able to, people can feel a little bit of something.
No, amazing. Laird, is there any kind of final questions you wanna wrap it up with? Is there anybody in the comments that's still listening? There might be 2 people here I don't know that's got questions either.
I think we got all the ones from the live chat, so that was pretty good. And I've had 3 pages of questions answered, so I really appreciate you guys taking the time and kind of giving us a lot of nice look behind the curtain, if you will. And like I've said to you guys before, I think hearing from you guys directly is really helpful just from a community standpoint that, when you see a name on Discord, it's a little different than somebody like on the screen with a voice. And so you guys have always been really generous with your time. And we all know that you're working very, very hard. So taking the time out to kind of answer our questions directly like this is really appreciated.
No worries. Yeah, appreciate you guys having us on and all the content you guys make around it. It doesn't. Yeah, we really do appreciate it. I guess also a question for you guys: what do you two want to see? Like, what did from your own biased personal opinions? What do you see going into the World Cup? What would you feel like? Yeah, I feel like this wait has been worth. But outside of looking at just the market cap number, what would you like to see?
I was just going to say 1 million users, but. I think our goals are aligned here. That's all.
Yeah, how'd you know? Perfect.
No, I'm quite interested to see the scouting kind of kick off. When you jump into the transfers, and especially if you hit kind of price from lowest to highest. I mean, I just went and picked up a load of Rodon because I was like, no, fuck it, why not? But you've got Lukaku, who's going through numerous issues, Pope, Trafford, Sula. There's quite a heavy list now of players that in the beta were the top 100 players and the top yada, yada, yada for that period. And we're now past that period and they're rotation players, they're injured, they've, been completely cut from the squad. And although we had 140 players, we've now got 139. Reality is we've probably got about 110, and then out of the 110 you've probably then can cut off another 20 that aren't really mattering, so we've got about 90, and then you've got the top 5 positions where 15 of those at the top end are really overpriced, so you're only actually got a little bit of wiggle room. So I think after speaking to AJ, and it was quite funny, obviously we had the podcast episode, we ended the recording, Laird was like, right, I've got to shoot off. And then AJ and I had a conversation that was longer than the podcast with just kind of going into details about his thoughts, his plans, his visions. And since then, my mind's kind of raced to say, well, if you come in as a new user and I go into the transfers and I say, why the hell is, Lenny Yoro in the game? It's like...
Hey, he'll be a good star.
but so if we're talking about the here and the now, there's I think 7 games left in the season. Why do I want to get Lenny Yoro? He's not going to be in the French team. He's not playing really for Manchester United. He's in and out. I don't want to see him there, but there's a load more centre backs that I'd prefer. And Laird and I had this conversation. Yes, there's not players that are not in the game that you're thinking, holy shit, they need to be here as an addition. But you could flip it around and, a first name off the top of my head, like DeMarco should 100% be in compared to Yoro. And that builds competitiveness and it builds then the kind of the marketing, and we can actually socially share it because I've picked this outside shout who's kind of performing well. So for me as a user, I just want to see the game at the top of its level, with every single player in the system playable. So
yeah, I think that's the, scouting specifically is that is an insane place to have some receipts. That is where the epitome of receipts come in. And don't know if it'll end up being in scouting, but I'll say it anyway. Is there's this opportunity of when you buy a player in scouting, you can leave a comment of why you bought him. So you bought it and you can leave a comment that'll have a stamp of a date and a time. And you can be I bought this player because because of this data, because I saw this, because of this. So then if he ever migrates to the main platform, you have this receipt of being a messiah of being I spotted this player super early, which I think is a perfect example of the receipt stuff. Imagine you did find Yamal early on and you have that receipt. You'll be able to milk that receipt for the rest of their career. You can be I was that guy. Yeah, and we can
make hella videos about that. This one guy for Yamal.
But yeah, I think lots of cool stuff for that.
No, definitely. No, well, we'll wrap it up anyway. I think we're pulling into half time on the England game, still 1-0 down against Japan. But yeah, thank you so much, you guys, for kind of giving the time to come and jump on and answer some of the questions that we've got. I'm sure on the back of this, and people come back and watch it, there'll be a few more follow-ups and explanations asked for, but you know, you're very accessible in the Discord, so I'm sure you'll get a few pings, and we'll wrap it up there. Thank you everybody for listening, for commenting, and thank you for the extra, I think like 20 subscribers, 10, 15 subscribers we've got today. So it worked. The plan worked. We've got to do this more often. Cheers, guys.
Amazing. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.